June is over, so here we are with our monthly wrap up on all the things I watched or started in the past month. So first off, I have a drama called Back from the Brink, which has completed. It stars Jo Ye and Neo Ho. Now this one, the pacing could be a bit choppy sometimes, but it was quite entertaining, and all through all, I thought it wasn't the worst thing I've seen, and it never went off the rails with the craziness. Besides some nitpicks, I thought it was entertaining enough. And there is definitely a big budget difference between this one and recent shanshas like The Starry Love or Till the End of the Moon. It's much more cartoony at times and fake looking. But I think that the pacing was really good, and from the start there wasn't much BS between like love triangles or anything like that. The main leads work together and the romantic story is very watchable. The characters are likable and the comedic moments were hit or miss depending on the viewer. I did saw that dip in quality around the 16th, 17th episode mark, which is when a lot of viewers thought that it went down in quality. But if you stick with it, it does make sense later down the line. However, I do have to say that the male lead kind of becomes forgettable. He's just there for the romantic moments, and then I felt like he didn't do much, and I thought they could have done a lot more with his character. The female lead's writing for her character did stay consistent throughout the drama, which I appreciated. Chemistry-wise, I thought they pulled it off. They were very cute, but not the cringy type. I did think that the number of episodes should have been reduced just because we got some repetitive scenes and there were moments where not much was happening at all. It was just them traveling from here to there, but I still enjoyed the dynamic. I'm also a huge sucker for the trope where there's small acts of kindness, and the male lead displayed this on many occasions, even though he adamantly said that no, he's not into her. You can clearly tell he cares for her. The loyalty and unbreakable bond from this is what really sold me and pushed me to keep on watching. Acting-wise, I did not have a problem with any of them. I think Neo is good in both rom-coms, but the more quiet, reluctant side of him, I love that. Female lead is feisty, righteous, but not enough to annoy me. The side characters were quite cute as well, and they also didn't bore me, which is great because sometimes they're just there to fill time in a lot of dramas and I just want to skip over, but it wasn't the case with this one. They reintroduced the side characters as people that were pertinent to the story. After that, you have Riley's character, which is the second male lead. At first, I loved his character. He was like this mysterious guy who kept on going around shipping them for some reason, and they kept on meeting again and again. But then after a couple of episodes, out of nowhere, he fell in love with the female lead, and I was like, where did this even come from? It's so random. I feel like there were some adjustments made to the scripts or something, or maybe to the editing process, because it felt so abrupt how it was nice, slow, and calm pacing. And all of a sudden, he fell so deeply in love with her, and he's very protective and even overbearing. There were slow moments and messiness here and there, and I actually did wanted to give up because I hate separation arcs, but overall, it was worth it when they got back together. This is a drama heavier on the romance and less on the BS, side stories, conquest, saving the world, none of that. So for that, I appreciate it. But still, in the end, I was still a little bit disappointed. And that's because Bai Xiaosheng, aka the second male lead, deserves so much better. They kind of just didn't know what to do with him. That was the vibe I was getting as a watcher. And then they kind of forgot about him, so he just popped up like in and out of the story really randomly. Also, the final villain was kind of redundant as well. And I hate that horror movie trope where, you know, they don't stay down, and they clearly had so many chances to off the villain, but they keep on letting them go. All in all, I would give this a 7 out of 10. After watching that, I watched Beauty of Resilience, starring Ju Jingyi and Guo Junchen. Honestly, this was a waste of time, and it really tested my patience. There were so many scenes from the start where they tried to build up all these characters from the academy, how she was bullied, her situation, and everybody trying to find out who the Phoenix is. But obviously, if you've seen the trailer or any dramas at all, you can definitely understand that she's the main character and she's definitely going to be the Phoenix. And I think that's the biggest problem with it. This and dramas like Changzi, where everything is just revolving around the female lead, so that writing is kind of wonky in a way where nobody has a purpose in this drama except to serve something that relates to the female lead. And that's so annoying. It's also your typical ill-fated master-disciple relationship trope. It's very tropey. There were some moments that were enjoyable, but overall, the supporting roles were just so one-dimensional. And I tried to like the second couple, but overall, everything felt so forced. And I couldn't find myself watching more than like halfway. So I dropped it, but then I came back to watch the final few episodes through skimming, and I'm kind of glad that I decided to drop it. So I definitely would avoid this one. Even if you like the actors, just go rewatch some of their best shows from before. I don't think this one is worth it. Yeah, I think the biggest problem here was just there were so many characters and most of them ended up being very bland, and the flashback arc of their previous lives is kind of pointless. You can literally skip those chunk of episodes and just go back to the present day where they explain the points of that. It's so unsatisfying, and this sucks because I know Ju Jingyi has some better dramas in the past, but too bad that I can't find any of her recent dramas to be watchable. I gave this a 3 out of 10. And then after these dramas, of course, I kind of swapped and went into the modern drama mood. So I decided to watch A Date with the Future, starring William Chan and Jang Ronan. I haven't seen anything of Williams since Novaland Pearl Eclipse. And this one was something that I was watching like every day, and it was enjoyable at first just because I was turning my brain off for it. I was kind of happy with all of the dramas, the shanshas, and all the messiness to see something completely different. So this is coming from a very biased stance, and this is influenced by this particular mood I was in. There's a lot of action, and the setup between the leads was cute, except there are so many moments where if you look even a tiny bit closer, there's just so many cracks and it falls apart. So many weird and odd moments that you're like, that takes you out of the story sometimes. The romance is adorable though, but I think that this is one of those dramas that deserves to have their episodes reduced as well. This follows a story between a firefighter and a young girl when it begins, and he saves her. She decides to make a promise with him that she'll chase him in the future when they meet again. She grows up to be a reporter plus a dog trainer. And this is how she ends up being a part of the action a lot. So she's reporting on scene when she meets him again, and she starts actively pursuing him. And at first it was interesting, it was funny, it was giving that go-go squid energy where the female lead is relentlessly chasing the male lead. I do like that the female lead is not pretentious and she never leads the second male lead on, because there's so many moments where he confesses and this and that, but she takes his feeling seriously, she addresses it openly, and she rejects him again and again. So it's not one of those situations where she's like, oh, I'm clueless and I'm leading my best friend on. It was actually the opposite, where she just told him that it doesn't matter, she's in love with this one person and she refuses to give up. During the start, there was some moments that I liked, like the little detail of her trying to gain respect of the team after she messed up on a report. So she decides to work with them again and says, this time I'm going to show them the truth of what firefighters really do. And they kind of ignored her because they're pissed off for good reason. And she decides that she won't take the high and mighty route For example, there's a scene in the cafeteria where there was no food left because everybody gobbled it up. And she just faces it head on, and she kind of steals the male lead's food and decides that she will have to play by their rules on their turf. The teen dynamic was probably my favorite part of this drama. There were so many fun moments, and the second couple was pretty cute as well. However, there's just so many moments that were hypocritical from the later half of the drama that really made me question whether or not I can give this drama a higher rating. Although I enjoyed it because it came at the perfect time after all of these dramas that I've been watching that was full of melodrama, etc. Still, there were parts at the beginning that I loved, like they tried to de-romanticize firefighters by pointing out that they don't just take big cases with fire, they also do small tasks like opening locks, trying to get rid of beehives and stuff like that. However, later on, there's this part that just had me raising my eyebrows, and it's the one scene that literally everybody watched this cannot look past, and it's the scene where the female lead just charges into the fire with very minimal training, I'm telling you, and then the male lead was kind of stuck and he was about to die, so she goes in, saves his life, even though his trained fellow members can't do it. She of course finds his exact location during the nick of time while he wasn't really yelling out for help or anything. Like, it was so unrealistic. And to top it all off, like, the whole thing was even more ridiculous. While they were jumping out of the burning building, they were like on this lifter thing to get them down safely. They were looking into each other's eyes romantically, of course. I literally laughed the entire scene. And they did this whole hugging scene and where the world slows down, the background music swells, and she's in his arms, and I just like, I can't take it. I know these dramas are supposed to be ridiculous, but you know, they were taking themselves too seriously. If it was a parody drama, it would be fine, but it was kind of counterintuitive because at first they're trying to educate us on all of these things that firefighters do and they don't do, and some misconceptions, and all of a sudden you would have these types of scenes. So I'm like, what? I wish I could let it go, but even completing the drama, and it was cute, happy ending, all of those things, and I enjoyed other aspects of it, I thought it was just a very poor choice for them to put that scene in. Plus, the fact that she was this pro dog trainer on the side too had me laughing because the writers did try so hard to make these two keep on meeting and being stuck in the same place for him to develop feelings with her. I do like the male lead though. He was so romantic, pretty unproblematic. All in all, I don't know what to give this one. Maybe also a 7 or maybe 6.5. And last but not least, I watched Bloodhounds. This was a shorter K-drama that came out, and this is one of their American-sponsored K-series. It was action-packed, thrilling, and it was pretty good. It stars Woo Do-hwan and Lee Sang-yi, which had amazing on-screen chemistry because of their off-screen bromance. They're so natural together. They really did make this drama what it is. So the story follows the male lead, who is a character that has to repay debt for his mother, who took out a loan and got conned by a company who got super violent. Male lead and his newfound bestie finds themselves involved and entangled in this whole loan shark situation, hence the title. This is also set in the height of the pandemic, and it brings awareness to a lot of people who got scammed because they were vulnerable and unemployed, struggling financially, so they were holding on to any hope, types of investments, or, you know, things like that. Sang-yi's character is so goofy and talkative. The contrast between him and the quiet and polite Do-hwan was so fun to watch. Ji-won was a nice surprise as well. I had no idea he would be in this drama. Lots of familiar faces for K-drama fans. Se-ron, which is the female lead, I didn't recognize her since her hair, but she actually got in a DUI situation, and because of that, she basically got blacklisted and canceled. Except this drama, her character had such a strong presence in it that they really couldn't cut her out. So this is why she just left mysteriously in episode 5. It was kind of unsatisfying, but I'm glad they didn't just delete her scenes because it would make absolutely no sense at all since she was so pivotal to the action. Speaking of action, I thought the fight scenes were just so good. Across the board, it was actually slower than I anticipated at the beginning because we were just setting up the characters. But soon it was addictive. The bromance was everything, and there was just moments where I'm like, what's going on with the plot? But I didn't really care because I'm just here for that duo. I thought the ending was touching and it's enjoyable, even though there were some scenes that were messy and the plot isn't the most original. Overall, 7.5 out of 10. I have been watching 2 C-dramas recently, and they're all modern romances. So one, obviously, Luce's Hidden Love, and also When I Fly Towards You, which is probably my favorite drama at the moment. I'm probably going to start See You in My 19th Life, a K-drama. But besides that, I have really no plans for the next few months since I'm moving abroad. So the next few months will be full of just packing, goodbyes, etc. Let me know your thoughts on recent dramas, or if you agree or disagree with me with my comments and ratings for these dramas. And I'll see you guys in the next one.